Yeah, hello you. How are you? Good day, good afternoon, good morning. Apparently not good morning. Good morning is to do with us being sad. We've to endure another day of this insane reality. Um, I got a little bit of time on my hands. Alexander and Mummy are out with mother-in-law. I've attended to myself, and while I'm thinking about that, um, something that the Bible and I think the Quran speaks of is giving tithing 10% to the Lord or to the self. And I don't mean in the kind of preening, putting makeup on way, but I mean in the meditative and self improvement way. You know, keeping the temple clean and so on and so forth. I allow more time for that nowadays. I used to be very uh, laissez-faire about self-care, partly because I didn't want to take care of myself, because I'd been made to dislike the way I look. Anyway, the thumbnail on this video is a Nintendo Switch game console, which I think is interesting. I mean, hopefully the Nintendo company don't copyright me for taking a picture of their device in my lounge. My son plays that. I have to confess I've played a bit of Mario Kart with him lately, and it's made me think about the MK and think about, you know, other sorts of programming and self reprogramming that playing these games repetitively, and particularly nowadays with these high-end digital compound graphics that they use, they must be able to layer loads of stuff in there if they want to, and there's no good reason to think that Nintendo, the Japanese giant, is not part of the system. We've always had the Trilateral Commission that makes sure that the big three are pulling in lockstep. I will have a look at the chat if you've joined already, and that I will have a look at the chat, but I'd like to just, for now, just say a little bit of stuff that comes to mind. I don't have like a large group of people listening, but I am talking to a few people, and it's nice to be able to do that, and it's nice to be able to continue to kind of develop this idea of what it is we're meant to be doing, how it is we're meant to be communicating, seeing our way through this thing. But it seems an increasingly smaller number of people are still wanting to stay in the game, or still, you know, not getting caught up with the Hollywood aspects of Flat Earth. I was just listening to Flat Earth Foco, actually. You know, he's had some pretty interesting rants in between his Darth Vader like vaping. Clouds of smoke. I'm not a fan of vaping, just by the way. I just can't trust the system has done us a good turn, you know, by giving us something that's clean. I mean, you know, I mean, cigarettes and vaping, okay, one, you know, etc., etc., and you can do CBD vaping now too, which is, you know. So, but I was just listening to, and I can't remember his name, so I have just asked him to remind me what his name is, but he he has some pretty interesting perspectives, and he's been one of those hardy, brave souls out there doing some street activism, mostly on his own, I think. And and he realizes that I think, as a few of us have, that we're not changing people so much as some people are just remaining entrenched in it's not this. Okay, and you do have to reflect on what is the nature of the game, and that there is such a spell intentionally, because everything is intentional. I think that it's all been designed so that there is a percentage that are under a deeper spell, and if they're to be unlocked is only at a time if something else is choosing some other moment in time. Do you fixate and vexate? Do you become a flat earth kind of flag bearer down at the wherever, down at the Parliament building or whatever, going, the earth is flat, there's 2 or 3 of my mates and none of us have a job right now, and we're just telling you the earth is flat, and we know from our experience, friends, that it's not changing everything. It's not changing things in a way that this system is going to pay attention. It feels almost more like there's a timeline, and that timeline is ticking, and the clock is getting louder and faster, and the moment of the 11th hour or the 12th hour, the final the final minute. Maybe that's coming ever closer, and in that case, we owe it to ourselves to keep the temple super clean. To be right with our things, with our people and our things. I've made a kind of peace with my family, my sisters, and my dad. Actually, I'm going to get to see my sister this month and my dad next month. Well, one of my sisters. I saw another one just a few months ago, so I have had the opportunity to be in their orbit over late. Albeit, in pretty strained kind of way, because we are in very different paradigm. My sister is a highly educated educator. She has a number of degrees and so on from universities, and to confirm her prowess and her intellect and her skills. But I say it's all an indoctrination system. One that if you can teach someone to read some stuff and return that as a 50,000 word or a 20,000 word essay, that makes them a giant in this system now. And this system is, my neighbors, I can hear them screaming. Maybe there's some sporting event on. It is a Saturday afternoon, so it's the right kind of time for that sort of thing. Yeah, there's moaning and groaning. I'm sure they're not having sex. So anyway, they're supporters of the Arsenal, and so perhaps if the Arsenal are playing, that might be they've just lost a game or something. Might have been robbed of some infringement that the black and white referee, the Freemasonic referee, has decided. I mean, you say to people, they play their football on a level pitch, don't they? Because we used to get that quite a lot, didn't we? the ball's round, the lights are round up in the sky, so it's obvious that the ground is round too. Yeah, like a basketball court. Anyway, throne. Where are we going? Fuck. Fuck, I hate that when it happens. Sorry, and excuse my language, please. We do need to raise our game, and I need to continue to raise my game and work on myself and be the best man I can be and be the best human being. But I don't want to contribute towards holding people back, restraining or retarding people from... Oh yeah, I was talking about my family. Because we live in a different reality. And you do too, probably. Most people listening to me now, or at some point, if you've listened this long, then you're probably, in the minority saying, yes, this is an insanity, and the majority are not seeing it, and that's insane. I mean, if you know of the Globe Light tour that Harry, John Smith, and Jason organized last year, their van, they had like a van with Research Flat Earth in big letters. There was their camper van, and I had them park it outside in my driveway last year, albeit sort of sunk back between the two houses, so all that people could see was the large banner on the front that said Research Flat Earth. Not a single neighbor has ever approached me about that and said, hey, we saw that van, what tell us more, People are absolutely frightened of it, and such that they would walk across the side of the road, other side of the road, rather than talk about it. And in the case of my family, they would rather think that I have lost my mind, or I'm simply just talking crap, rather than throwing away my entire reputation or my entire whatever, to be a bringer of an alert and an alarm call to say, shit, nothing that you thought is real is actually as it purports to be. And it really matters. And yet, my dog is trying to muscle in on the action. And yet, yeah, you become the nutter. And then, so we realize that we have to we have to take that as an inner standing, that these people are not for waking. These people are not now for waking, and we cannot lose our own, or we shouldn't perhaps be giving up our own soul journey to this enlightenment, if that's what it's about. We shouldn't be giving that up because we've been encouraged to go and stand on the street corner and fight and argue with the minions or the millions of people who were not born in this time to see. Whether it means that they're non-player characters, NPCs, and whether it means that, like Falco was saying, all the police are all not born to, they're not meant to see it. Okay, but whatever. We can do what we can try and do, and but we don't want to lose ourselves fighting this battle. Because if you think about it, if we think about what the flat Earth, if flat Earth is trolled by the system, then the trolls are well known to us all, and in which case, what are they doing? They're doing the work of bringing people to flat Earth. Perhaps you could argue of bringing the business of ridicule to flat Earth, because I sometimes feel like they don't have enough depth of character to say, hey, there's something soulful about this, which is why I think I might be hopefully getting some of the right people's attention at the Speaker's Corner, where we can say, hey, let's move this conversation on from just talking about flat Earth. Because that's what that guy, Pavlov, if you saw any of what happened on Sunday at the Speaker's Corner, Pavlov was insistent that he wanted only to talk about flat Earth. And that's what some of these control channels, I think, are doing. Is all they do is they talk about flat Earth, rather than the deeper stuff. And actually, even just talking about, say, mud flood, a subject that I'm very interested in, but just say, okay, all I'm going to do is set myself up as mud flood, and I'm not looking to criticize any people in mud flood, because some I consider to be friends, some I know personally, some I think are some of the most well-researched people, and they've kind of hopped from flat Earth, or they've moved through flat Earth, or they've not, or they came through mud to flat Earth and then carried on with their specialism in those kind of subjects. That's fantastic. But it's like, if you wanted to learn about who you were, then you wouldn't just do history class. And in a way, some of the stuff about Tartaria and so on is our history class. Some of the stuff about how it's not particle science, in my view, it's wave science. So, there is a science class to be had, but not one. Let's not get lost in electromagnetic torus field theory. We need to understand or understand it, so that we understand the importance of the system and how it interacts with us, and vice versa. The same is true with the Tartaria stuff and the mudflat stuff. I'm fascinated to know about that because, well, the same reason I was always fascinated in history was because I want to know who and what we are, this is, and so on. And I had got to a point in my life before flat Earth, before I knew about 9/11, that I thought these things couldn't be answered and we could never know. But when deep research like this has come into the fore, and you go, well, maybe there's things that we still can learn about who and what we are. So yes, let's put the work in on and research that, and much respect to the people who do that. But don't just stay in the history class. Don't just stay in the science class. Get all the classes. Understand astrology, astronomy, and cosmologies, and the sciences of how we work and how our bodies work and how this universe or that creation works. Do that work, but always knowing that you've got to keep the centered stuff. The guys who are doing, say for example, you're just a yoga teacher, and it's like there's not enough just to be a yogi and sit in an ashram for 6 years and go, this is the answer to it. No, of course not. And they'll say to me, like, deep yogis, tattooed all over, it doesn't matter whether the earth is flat or not. Of course it matters. Absolutely it matters. But don't be a Jim and go, oh, it can't be anything else but flat earth. If you're talking about anything but flat earth, you're actually selling humanity out. Well, I don't think it works like that. Because, humanity is not about to go, oh, so the earth is flat. That means the government is a complete corruption. They're not going to do that. Because in the same way as I say to people, hey, you're allowing the government to legalize cannabis, medical marijuana as they call it. You're allowing them to tell you whether you can use it or not, or how you can use it, or who can grow it, and how it can be controlled, when we've also discovered that they've known all along that it has curative powers when it comes to cancer and a raft of other conditions. In fact, the endocannabinoid system is an integral part of your body. It apparently, obviously I'm not the scientist, but from the classes I've had on biology since I, learned that things aren't what we've been told, it seems to me that the endocrine system is balanced by the endocannabinoid system. So an integral part of how you are, whether you're someone who suffers with obesity or a whole raft of other conditions, including mental health, before you even get to the cancers and the other stuff, these things are all in the remit of the cannabis plant because of them. Sorry, that was Andrea, the phone just saying. I need to go and collect her in a minute. So I will spare you a long-winded blathering. Um, but the point is there, I was making that, when you tell people that it's your same government who've hidden at the behest of the corporates or behest of whoever runs the show, they have hidden the truth about cannabis, and now we're going to continue to allow them to have authority over it or us or whatever. I won't make too much about my own experience last year with the authorities in the cannabis business. It's going to be, you know, one that I can continue to talk about for years to come. Um, the impact of it is still felt to this day, obviously, and you know, to the law enforcement types, the degree of you know unsettlement that such a thing causes is very significant, and you know I think in my case they certainly didn't do sufficient due diligence to go to the lengths of interrupting my life and our family life and so on in that way, and of course my own ability to medicate my own for myself. Um, but this is all part of the problem, is that people are just go, well, those are the rules and so on. We just kind of go along with it. Well, we're obviously not people that just go along with the rules, and we've realized that the entire thing is bunk. But the majority of people are not willing to give that up. So do the work of the activist and do the work of trying to light the path for those around you. That's absolutely, I think, we're all called to do. But do so from like your own inner work. Hey, not the work of just, it's the earth is flat, and I just need to shout to the world that the earth is flat and so on, because my friends, I say this with love, I think that when we've been set up to do that, and actually it's, rather than being a beacon to people in my family, I've become a source of, ooh, let's not talk about Uncle Dave, and and let's avoid certain prickly topics and so on, and that's just it's a really uncomfortable place to be. However, we can't continue to pretend, can we? And it's important that all of us are courageous enough to, whilst we're fixing ourselves up, go out and tell those that we need to. But I'm not suggesting that you do it kind of thoughtlessly, because it has significant ramifications, and you need to be willing to accept that, and willing to accept that the journey has to be sort of walked on your own. Much as this little community of people who know can try and support one another and be there for one another, and there have been some supportive people. They know who they are. It is an uncomfortable road, and one we must walk. But we must do so whilst keeping, doing the work on ourselves. That's what you must do. Just do the work on yourself. I will quickly say a few things, hellos and so on, because I'm now committed to go and pick up my wife. And I don't know, the glasses and the kind of lighting is a bit crap. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I can barely read. Hey, really, I can see that in blue. It's easier to see in blue. Don't be trapped in the "it's all about flat Earth" thing, because I might have been in that trap, and I'm advising you that keep boxing, keep on the move, because They want to keep us boxed in to flat Earth, and the truth is, we're not going to get the government to pay much attention to us. They're just going to continue to do the ridicule. Maybe in time they go, oh yeah, moon's in the thing, and then this, and that, and yeah, it's flat. But maybe that happens, then they can get to a point where, like the cannabis, they go, well, yeah, so what if the government lied to us about it being a cure of cancer? We've only lost a few family members, so we shouldn't feel too bitter. We've only had a few members of our family jailed or, scorned or lost jobs or being, whatever, seen as a pariah for using this plant. It's not a big deal. Same as, obviously, we've been kept in a debt-based slave system because we thought we absolutely needed a government to protect us from hordes of bandits from the east or the west, and raiders from foreign lands. I mean, from outer space and rocks and things from outer space. So it doesn't matter that they lied about the flat Earth. They were protecting us from the Russians. Yeah. I mean, depends. If you were Russian, they were protecting us from the Americans. Yeah. But we have to move on from that, and we have to be cleverer than that, and it's about rewriting our entire history, about entire who we are and everything, and what we are. And you are divine, incredible creator, maybe God, maybe, Allah. Maybe that's you. Yeah. I think we're going to find out a lot more about who and what we are, and hang in there, I think we need to be patient. I'm struggling a little bit with that at times myself, honestly, but we do need to be patient and keep doing